I'm Alex, and this is the Private YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about how to make WP AJAX forms and hooks on WordPress. This is a very common case that you should use on your WordPress development. We are going to make a simple example that you can use later for your development. So we say that the best way to do this is doing the code, so let's go there now.
Okay, so now we are here on the WP admin, and what we are going to do then is create a post type called books. We are going to create then a shortcode that makes the form and the printed, and that form we are going to send it by an AJAX hook, and that AJAX should insert the post on the system as a post type book. So let's go here. So now we are here on this WP admin. So this is the code that I have. And what I should do is the first thing that I need to do is let's create the post type. So the post type should be something like let's go here, register post type. One of the best things that you need to understand is how to use the codecs and examples that you get on the whole internet. So the WordPress codecs tell us this is an example. And we can register the post type with a simple example like this. Right here. Okay, there's a better example here. This one. So, what exactly this code does? So we do set a post type called books, and that book will have several labels. We can add many capabilities or options to these arguments here. But for this example, we just need this simple creation. We can either use, for example, this example, and there you can edit how it looks in a singular name, in a plural, edit item, or the description for the labels. Many other things, but that are not super necessary in this moment. But you can keep it and use it from the examples that you can get here on the register post type codecs on WordPress. So let's make a small change here. Let's so this function is added to the hook init. So right away that it does init is going to use this function, and it's going to register the post type for. So I'm gonna change this to a better name. Private code book register post type book. You can use a menu icon, but I don't think it's super necessary, but let's leave it over there. It should be public. Public means that it's going to be used in the whole site. And let's gonna save it. So after this, we should then watch on the WordPress admin a panel to add a book. So let's go there. So let's reload here. There you go. We have the books. So what we are going to try to do is to create an external form that we can place this in a shortcode, and that shortcode will allow us to create books from the front end and not here on the WP admin. going to create the shortcode. So we have the code here, and we do add shortcode. Let's say shortcode form, and we need to add a function on the back on the callback. That function can be something like a shortcode form shortcode, and then we set this function. So for a simple example, we are going to do return hey YouTube guys, and let's go to a page. So right now then we can create any page and insert this as a shortcode like this, and it should print us return. It should print us hey YouTube guys. So let's try this. Let's go to pages, add new. Let's try something like a form test, and we do this, publish immediately, and let's go here, and we have this YouTube guys. So now that we have this simple example for the shortcode, let's try to create something a little bit more complicated. Any shortcode function callback that you use, you have to return the value. You should not add an echo, because at each time that you make an echo, at the moment that it's trying to add the shortcode, it's going to print that information, even if it's not used. So keep in mind to always use return, as it's going to be used at the moment that the shortcode is used, not before. So we have return. Let's then create a function that make us something more interesting. So let's create this in another file that allows us to create the form HTML more organized. So let's create a file. Say that is a private code form PHP, and let's say simple echo here, hey YouTube guys, from the file. So we should do something like include private code form PHP, and we should then make this that returns the flow. So how we do that? If I do the include in this moment, it's going to show private code form PHP all the time that I reload the page. But what we need to do is to just show it at the moment that I use private code dash form shortcode. So I should then start on a string. So ob start, and I should then return that string and clean the buffer for it. So this function ob start, you can go on the PHP. So what it does is that it's going to read everything that is printed in that exactly moment, and after I use ob get clean, it's going then to return all that string that is being buffered at that until that moment. So let's go here. Yeah, it's ob get clean. Let's make a test again. Let's reload the page, and that's it. It is printing what is in our file that we created apart. So let's then create the HTML for this. So we're going to need a form, and it should send the information to an action URL. So that action URL is a WordPress has a function that gives us the WordPress admin URL, and we can add another small part of that URL. So let me give you an example. This is admin URL, and we should do something like admin AJAX.php. It should be a method post. And we need also, that's going to say set an ID for this form. So let's see, something like a private form. We are going to need to have a title and a description. So let's put that. So input type equals text ID title. Value should be nothing for now. It's going to make a text area. And okay, I'm forgetting the name here. Name, title, name, description, ID, description too. So then we need an input type submit. Let's put the value like insert book. And we also need to add a nonce. What is exactly a nonce? A nonce is a value that is added to the form, and it needs to be there because it's a number that is used once. So we don't want that all the time we send the form, it start to insert many books. So we need that it happens just once. So the nonce is an abbreviation of number once, and that input is going to be a value that we're going to use to verify where that request is coming. So to do that, let's go on the WordPress codex. So we do WP nonce, and we can use this function called nonce field, and we do this over here, and it's asking us for an action. So the action is how we do send that request to the backend and tell to the WordPress, hey, we are going to do this specific action. So in this moment, we are going to call it just a form insert or book insert. And is asking us for a name. By default, it gives us WP nonce, so we can leave it like that. And let's see what is printing this. So if we reload over here, we see that this is the input for the title and the input for the description and our value, and we can inspect this, and we do see here the nonce. So this nonce is where we're going to use to verify on the backend, as I said. So let's then create the backend that's going to receive the information for. Let's put one here, one thing. Let's just do place, make a placeholder here. folder, description. That's it. This will. So on the functions, we are going then to receive the request. So for that, we need to set, okay, we are going to add the function to the action WP AJAX. So add action WP AJAX insert, hook insert. So the name of the action is going to be what you put after the underscore here. So WP AJAX underscore, and that name that you put there, it's the action name that we're going to use. So then we need a callback for. We can put something like try code. Insert callback. Function try code book insert callback. And the first thing that we need to get is what we are receiving. So let's just try to return exactly what we have. So we do something like a WP send JSON, and for this example, just to make it post, which is post is what we are going to receive. And it's very important to set WP die, because the whole instructions of WordPress are running, and when they get to that specific action and it finished, the idea is that the system does not load anymore. So that's why it's so important to put the WP die where there, or you can use simple die from PHP. And so how do we send that information to the backend? So we can use JavaScript for it. So we set script. Script here, and we do jQuery try code form, which is the ID of the form, and we are going to say that submit. Let's do this. So prevent default. The prevent default allow us to not do the specific default behavior on the form, so which is submit the form, and in this case we're not going to submit it directly. And let's say that we have a bar called form, and this is jQuery this. So what we are telling to the system over here is that this form should be now this value called form. So bar URL, it will be form find attr action. So with this, we have the URL where we are going to send the information. After that, we do a jQuery post. So this function on jQuery allow us to send that information to a URL. Which URL? Well, the URL of the admin URL and the admin AJAX over here. So we say that this is the URL, and we need to send a data. Also, we are going to receive a response. We should add this JSON value here, just to be sure that we are going to receive a JSON, and it's going to treat it as a JSON. And so what is the data? Okay, the data is the value that we need to set. So birth data equals, we need to send several values. So the action. So the first action that we need to send is book insert. So what is the book insert? Is the name that we set here after WP-AJAX underscore. We need to send a title, and that title is on the form. Well, I mean, it's a jQuery hash title for the ID of the input. Val. We need to send a description, the same over here. And we need to send the nonce. So the nonce, it will be jQuery dash WP nonce. Where do I got that ID? Over here. You can see it here. It said the ID that it's saving and having that value. So what is exactly happening over here is that I'm taking a URL that is in the attribute action here, which is set here. I'm sending a data, and I should receive a response from the backend. So to know what is happening on the backend, so we are going to do a simple console log, and it's a response. And let's make a test. So if everything went okay, whatever I put here on this inputs is going to be shown on the console of Chrome, the JavaScript console. So let's try a review. One more sec. Let's see what happened there. Oh, yeah. I had the equals title as a placeholder. So let's reload. Argument list. It's telling me that I have an error. Okay. The error is the word function. Sorry that. And we have now, let's make a test title, description. So if I click here, I should receive the info that I am sending. Oh, we have an error. So what it can be this error? Okay, I did this on purpose, but the point is you can declare any action, an WP-AJAX action on WordPress, but if you are going to use it as a non-logged in user, you should then set it on the WP-AJAX no prep hook. So the no prep is going to allow us to send request to the system if we are not logged in. If we have like this WP-AJAX underscore, you should be logged in. So let's make it a test in this session that I have over here, which is where I am logged in. Let's then make a test logged in on the WP admin. So we have this URL here. We can paste it here. And make the same test. Title, description. And that's it. We have here the information. Now we have to use this information to insert the post. We need to validate the nonce. As I said, the nonce is just a number that is used once. That's the acronym of number once. And it's used to validate that we are just sending forms once, using just one time, not many times, because we can overload the server for it. So let's then make a check nonce for it. Let's review how's the API for it. Check nonce WordPress. verify nonce. So we should do something like a if WP verify nonce we should then pass the nonce name. So the nonce name is nonce. That's the name of the field. And we have to pass the action. And the action is book insert. And the same test we should do then, just to be sure that it's passing this nonce verification. So let's then send the same WP send JSON. Let's put a comment over here. If the nonce is valid, this then return the post. So let's then reload this and send it again. So description 2. There you go. We have the information. So we have pass over here. So what we are going to do then is just to take the information and create the post, the book in this case. So for that, we need to use this function that it's a WP insert post. To insert the post, we need to pass in a post array. So that post array should have at least the title. It should have the status, and it should have the post type that the post is going to have. So let's create an array. Post array equals post title. In this case, our title is going to be the post title. Request. And we have the content, which is going to be the description. Post content is going to be post description. And the post type that we're going to use is the books that we created. So post type book. And the status of the post will be published immediately. So we can set it as draft, trash, share all this, private if you want. Post status, that should be it then. Publish. So we do WP insert post. We send the array that we created for. And this function is going to return us the ID of the new post. So if, or it's going to return us a WP error or 04. So new post ID equals, we are going to then say if it's not WP error, so we can is WP error. So we do something like a is WP error, the new post ID that we created, then WP send JSON. That's going to send a response value. So the response is going to be success. response data, it's going to be the new post ID. And let's then return response. If it is an error or 0, we are going to send the same response that with the data as empty and the success as false. Let's put this over here just to keep the code cleaner. So we have it. This WP send JSON response. Okay, well, we can even set here. And that's it. So let's see what happens when we send this information from this page, and also we're going to do the same using the hook noprib. So let's copy here and let's set the same callback for noprib, and let's say this is the book one, and okay, the first book is going to be, I don't know, Harry Potter, and I don't know, whatever description here. So what should happen is if I send this and insert the book, I should receive on the console the new ID of the post that was created. So let's then send it. Oh, we have an error. We can just click here and see whatever we have. It's an every vertical error. Okay, this is a trick that we can use for it. Right? Anytime that you get an error on the system, you can just simply create a debug log. So WordPress has a debugger that you can log all the errors that you got on the system. So for that, it's just going to WP config, and you go over here, WordPress debug. WordPress, and you just copy these 3 lines. So the debug is going to show the errors. The debug log is going to log the errors on the file. Normally it's in WP content debug log, and we are not going to show the errors. So let's go here. Let's then send again this. We are going to get the same error, and now we have on the content the debug log, so we can see what's the error over here. So it says that I'm having an issue on the line 40. So line 40 is this. Okay, why? It says unexpected. What is the issue here? Content, book. Let's see. Again, same error. But why? Okay, yeah, my if is not finished here. Okay, dumb moment. So let's then clear this, insert the book again, and now we don't have any error, and that's it. We have success and a data 34. So if we go here to the books, we should then have the new post or the new book. And there you go. So now that we have created these functions, we can extend it from here in a very endless options for it. You can, for example, create success messages, error messages for the front end. You can add custom meta. You can do many things just using this basic WP insert that we did here with the AJAX.
I'm going to leave the code on the description of the video. You can go on GitHub and just review the code if you want to review it. If you have any questions for it, you can just leave the comment over here. Let me know if you want that I create a new video just giving you more extensions and what you want that I do for this insertion of the post. If you like the video, give a thumbs up and subscribe. Hope you like it, and I'll see you in the next one.